All right, we're going to give it just a little bit longer here for a few other people to join, and then we'll get started. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started now. It's 12:01. So I first want to say thank you for everyone for taking the time out of your day to come see our presentation. Today, the main topic, or actually before I cover that, pardon me, all microphones, if you haven't read this, all microphones are currently set to mute, so you're not able to speak at this time. However, at the bottom of the window, there's a chat box. You can simply type into there any questions you have. Feel free to type in questions as you go. However, do note, once the presentation is done is when I'll start going through the questions. That way we can just go at a very smooth pace. The main topic for today is we're going to go over the main features of what distinguishes Appulate Standard from Appulate Premium. Everybody has access to Appulate Standard, comes included with any login of Appulate. You can get it with no charge. But today we're going to cover the premium and what the benefits can be for your agency. This is going to be more of a high level. This won't take very long, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. And then when we're all done, like I said, I'm going to open the floor up to questions, and then I'll also be following up with everybody at the end. Now, if anybody is here hoping that this is training or things like that, that's not what this is. That's not what this webinar is designed for today. I ask that you reach out to support at Appulate if you're looking for training or help, because today's demo will not be covering that. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to get started here. I'm just going to minimize this. Okay, so the main things, what distinguishes Appulate Standard from Premium are mostly a lot of the features, but we also really focus on the submission platform as a time-saving feature. What we've determined is you're able to save approximately 37 minutes per submission, and doing a set amount of submissions in a month, we've kind of averaged that out to about 25 hours a month, or a potential savings per agent per year of around $7,000 of just time savings. So, and how we get about that is we've got several premium features down here. We've got our loss runner, and again, we're going to cover all these in just a minute here, but we're just doing a high level real quick. So loss runner, where we're going to show you how to request loss runs simply and easily. We're going to show you how email submission works, how web link works. We're not going to go into OCR, but I can explain it briefly. What OCR is, it's optical character recognition. And this is if you take a image or a document that the system won't read, we're able to use artificial intelligence to read that document and bring it in. So if your code is maybe handwritten or something like that, this would now give you the ability to bring that document in, whereas the current version of Uplink, without OCR, you're not able to bring those kind of documents in. You're also able to block ad engines. So those are the little pop-ups that come up down in the bottom right on the screen. If you want to turn those off, you can simply do that once you're in the premium version, and as well as the Insured Portal, which we're going to cover. All right, so the first one we're going to cover is loss run. So basically what we have here is I've already got an insured put in here, and we've already uplinked and brought the data in. So again, this is going to be more covering the differences between standard and premium. So the first thing I'm covering here is the loss run. So that's this tab right here. So with the premium version, you're able to access loss runner. Now our current, let's pull this back up here. Our current carrier is Agora West. So we're going to submit loss runs to Agora West. So we just simply go over here to the loss run tab, click here, and now we have Agora West shown right here. We can click down below, and it doesn't look like we have any loss runs requested for this carrier yet. So in order to do this loss run, we can simply go over here and do send loss runner by clicking this, or if we had the loss runs, we'd simply just attach them. So I'm going to click this send loss runner, And now this opens up our loss runner feature. Inside here is 4 different letters to choose from. And essentially what these are is they're different letters written in different ways to request these loss runs. So in this particular circumstance, the letter of authorization is requesting that the insured gives us, the agency, the permission to request this loss run. Now, if it was like an insured loss run letter, it's just going to be worded in such a way that it looks as though it's coming from the insured. The whole purpose of this letter is to send it out to get those loss runs, obviously. So when we look down this, we'll just put it at the letter of authorization just for today. So here's Agora West, but here's where it gets really neat. So if you notice right here, we don't have, we never entered the loss run department information when we were doing this earlier. This has already generated this information from our database. So this is going to save you time right off the bat, not having to call Agora West to figure out where you got to send these to. So it's automatically generated this data for us from our database. Again, saving you more time. We've got our policies during these periods. Here's what I mentioned earlier, the letter. So this is just saying, hey, I, the insured, am giving, David King's agency the ability to request loss runs on my behalf. Then if you notice down here, there's Insured Signature. We're going to cover that in just a second, what that'll look like here. So I'm going to add the context information in here by just hitting this little pencil icon. If you notice there's pencil icons throughout, these are editable fields. So if you decide that you need to, maybe there's a typo in here and you need to change this, you can simply click it, go in here and edit or add another period in. It's really easy to do it. And then I'll show you what this looks like here. So I'm going to download the preview. So essentially this is going to create a document that's going to look just like this, and it's going to have a signature box down on the bottom. And what we're doing is we're going to send this directly to Bill here, and we're just going to simulate this, but we would send this to Bill. Bill would get a link that he clicks on. He doesn't have to log in or anything, and he would just simply sign, and then he would hit send. And then this is literally at that point, once it's been signed, the system will receive it back in. Down here it'll say, it'll have the new loss run request added there, and then the system will automatically email this out for you. So you're not having to wait for them to sign it, them to send it back to you, and then you to send it back out again. This is just going to continue its way out the door, again, saving you more time. So as you can see, the focus here is on a lot of time savings. There's some other really neat features that are built into this as well, depending on your state statute as far as loss runs. Some states are 10 days, some days are 20, 30. You could put a little reminder in, and the system will email you a reminder after these days have expired to check whether you've got them or the insured's got them. When I was an agent, I know that half the time they'd send it back to me, half the time they'd send it back to the insured. So there's no rhyme or reason, that's just how they would do it. So this is a really great feature. We have several agencies that have signed up just to use this feature alone, just because the ease of not having to look up this information and to be able to send these out quickly and easily. And that's the loss runner feature. It's a really great feature. Okay, so the next feature we're going to cover is we're going to look at the web link and email features. Now with Appulate Standard, you have the ability to submit to e-submission markets as well as Appulate style markets. That's these two icons here. That's standard features. When you're in the premium, you get access to a lot more. So now you're going to get web link as well as email. So web link, right now we have web linked out a lot of the major markets such as Progressive, Hartford, Travelers, CNA, a lot of your really major markets that we've just not been able to partner with yet. We may be working with them to create a partnership, but we're just not at that point yet. So what we've done is we've created our software engineers have gone through and created a plugin called WebLink, which sits in a little toolbar here. And what it does is it transfers data between our system. So all that Q&A that's down here, it transfers that data into their portal. So we're going to do that for you right now. So we're going to take Amtrust here. We're going to hit submit. And what this is going to do is it's going to instantly log us in. So we're going into their site now. I'm going to hit create new quote. And then at this point, it's going to start auto-generating the data into the system for me. Now, this can be a real big time saver. In my opinion, this is probably one of the biggest time savers right here. Because imagine how many, if you're doing, let's say 7 or 8 submissions, and they're all web links, and you having to enter the data on each and every single one of these over and over again is very tedious and very very ineffective or very inefficient with your time. So by having it set up this way, you're able to load that data in. Now I'm going to hit continue, but I'm going to get a little error here because of the address. And then I hit continue again. It's already recognized it's a workers' comp. I hit continue again, and it's going to preload the data again, and so forth. So essentially, we're on Amtrust's website, just like you normally would, or Progressive or CNA, just like you normally would, but we're loading the data in for you, saving you that time of rekeying it over and over for every single submission. So you would continue through this just like you normally would on a normal submission, but again, it's just saving you the time of having to redo it over and over again. And that's really, the heart of it as far as WebLink. That's what that's designed for. And this takes a considerable amount of resources on our team to create these. If I remember right, each WebLink takes about between 4 and 6 weeks to map out, and that's just for one line of business. So for this workers' comp for Amtrust, it took us 6 weeks to develop this. So, we have a lot of these on here, but we don't have everybody. So when you become a premium member, if there's a specific MGA or carrier that you go to their website that's kind of a cornerstone for your business, or maybe you like to use them, but we just don't have them in the system. By being a premium member, one of the things you get complimentary is the ability to request WebLink markets. Now, do note we have a kind of a backlog on these right now. I do believe it's running pretty much through the end of the year because we have so many requests right now. But again, it is a complimentary service. You can request to get it added, so when it becomes available, it'll help speed up that particular line of business for you as well. And that's the web links. The email submissions are really great, especially if you're do a lot of workers' comp and you like to block markets. I'm going to demonstrate that for you here in just a moment. So we go into submit. So because this is a cloud-based system, we have a lot of advantages that we can use with our system. So if you notice up here, up top at the beginning here, it says configure your mail server. So when you set up your mail server through the system, if you notice it says on behalf of. So what this is going to do is when we send an email from this platform, it's going to put a copy in your sent box, and it's going to send it out just like a normal email. And then of course, any replies back would come to your normal email, not here. But again, the main advantage of doing this is, I'm just going to put a dummy email address in here, is we're able to schedule submissions by letting the system decide when this is going to be sent out. So there's a whole bunch of advantages with this. Number one, obviously blocking the market. So let's say this is the 90-day out mark is on the 18th, and we get this email all ready to go, and we schedule it up for 12:01 a.m. and I hit done. This will now send out this email for us on Monday the 18th at 12:01 a.m. I'm guaranteed I'm going to block the market. I don't think there's anybody else up that early in the morning that's going to submit this. So that's one really nice feature. A couple other really nice features. Let's say you're going to take some time off and you want to go on vacation. You don't have to worry about sending out these emails, logging into your computer while you're on vacation. You can schedule this email to go out in advance. So you just prep the email in its entirety. You choose the time, say like 9 o'clock in the morning, and you hit done, and this email will go out on the day you requested at that time. Some other really nice ones are if you're able to work ahead of time. So maybe your agency's gotten really efficient and you've got a renewal coming up, and your renewal, the earliest you could send that in would be, the 19th or whatever. You could choose the 19th at 9 a.m. and you could prep this email, get it all ready to go. And now you're actually working ahead of schedule as instead of trying to play catch up all the time. So some really neat features that you can really take advantage of on the email side of things. So far we've covered the loss runner, we've covered email submission, and we've covered WebLink. We briefly talked about OCR and the ad engine. And really the last thing I want to cover is Insured Portal. This is kind of a complicated one. I say that because there's a lot of, you got to be careful with this one because you could send too much data to your insured. So a couple different things you can do. So if we add a market on, let's just say we add Volt on, for example, here. And when I added Volt on, as you notice, I've got a new question that just showed up. So it shows insured question here. So we've got, let's see here. Actually, let's do one that has a lot on it, state fund. So we had state fund on here, and now if you notice, it just populated a whole bunch of new questions. We've got somewhere around 70 new questions. Now, I could go through here and I could enter each of these questions myself, or what I can do is I can go up to here, and there's this little icon up here called Send Questionnaire to Complete. When I click this, what this is going to do is it's going to open it up, and I can really filter it down, but I'm sending these questions to my insured to answer, as opposed to having to call them or email them. I can send these directly to them. So in this case, I can narrow it down to removing Volta, just State Fund of California, and I could choose if I only want to send certain ones. So maybe I only want to send the underwriting questions to the insured because I'm going to handle the rest on my own. I could send all the questions, all the unanswered questions, or all the required unanswered questions. So we really give you the ability to filter this down quite a bit so that you're able to send a little bit of this data over to the insured to answer. And this will kind of really set you apart from your competition, because instead of just picking up the phone and calling them, they're now going to get a portal. And I'll show you briefly what this looks like here. So they're going to get a portal that looks like this. It's going to be really stripped down, so it doesn't have all these things up here to confuse your insured. So you're able to get one link for them to click. They click it and open it, and then they go in here, and the questions that you've requested that they answer are going to be displayed here. So they're going to be able to go through and they're going to answer the questions. And then at the very bottom, there's this spot where they can save it. They'll hit save, and then when that's been saved, those questions automatically get preloaded back into the system, and they'll answer all the questions for you. So it's a really great way to kind of share the load with your customer. Now on the flip side, with forms as well, so when we're looking at our forms, one of the premium features on forms is the ability to print accords. So if we're going here and we want to edit an accord, for example, we can go in here and edit this accord. This is 130, and I can edit anything on this I want. Where there's a pencil icon. But the really neat thing that I love about our system is when you enter anything in one of these areas where it has a pencil icon, this information is transferred to anywhere else in the system that's applicable. So for example, if I change the date here on all these other forms that we had, let me close this out, all these other forms, the date would update on them as well. Now, this gets really powerful when you're considering that, let's say you have 3 different supplemental forms and you have to fill out each one. Well, normally, as you know, you'd have to fill out each one from beginning to end. Well, if you take advantage of our system and you start filling in the accord data here, or maybe you fill in a supplemental or a questionnaire, like we'll go to this questionnaire here, and I start filling this questionnaire out. If there's any of these questions that are relevant to any other questions on any forms or anything else in the system, these questions are all going to be linked together. So I'm not having to re-answer them. So most people that have filled out a supplemental before know that 70 to 80% of the questions are identical between supplementals. So this is going to really save you a lot of time from having to continuously re-enter that information on supplementals. Now, just like we showed earlier with the send a request to complete, we can actually do this for supplementals as well. Now, something like this, I would probably say would be okay to send to an insured, but when we get into a supplemental like this one here, this might be a little much to send to an insured because it's just a lot of information. So I would probably not recommend sending this kind of a size to an insured. It might overwhelm them. But if we're referring to like the question, just a little questionnaire, I could take something like this and I could hit this button here. And as you notice, here's our little link. So I'm going to send this to, Bill at, Golden Apple Nursery. I'm going to send it to him. He's going to click the link. It's going to open it up. And again, he's just going to have really restricted access, but he's going to be able to go in here, answer these questions for us. He's going to hit save. And it just saved us a bunch of time from having to reach out to him to get those questions answered. All right, and that's kind of just a highlight of the premium features that are in the system. Now, I do want to also note, depending on the size of your agency, we are running a promotion right now. It's good through Friday. So right now, we're offering a discount off the setup fee as well as customized personalized training. The trainings normally for personalized training is $200 each. So right now with the promotion, you can get up to 2 of those depending on the size of your agency, as well as a discount off your setup fee. So I encourage you to reach out to me at the end of this if you're interested in kind of getting some pricing, as well as maybe we can dive a little deeper into your markets and make sure this is a good fit for you. If you see anything in here that you have questions on, the chat bar is open at the bottom, so feel free to kind of answer any questions. If you want to raise your hand, I might be able to unlock the mute on the microphone as well. So feel free to ask any questions at this point. We got Steve here raising his hand. Let's see if I can unlock you, Steve. All right, Steve, I think you're open. Steve, is your mic on? Oh, here we go. Okay, I got. Okay, so it looks like I've got a question. Bear with me here, trying to get this to spread out here. So it looks like I have a question regarding WebLink. How would we get direct access to Amtrust if we do not have a direct appointment? Do we get it by joining the Appulate Premium? That's a great question. So the way the system is designed is we take your existing appointments that you have, and and we connect you to those. So we don't take any commissions or anything out from what you earn. We're kind of kind of in between you and the carrier to kind of bridge the gap in the technology. So if you're currently not appointed with Amtrust, unfortunately, by joining us, it would not give you an appointment to them. However, we do have a bunch of open brokerage markets. So Volta being one of them. If you look Volta here, they do have Amtrust. So you would have to go through them as an MGA. And I know they do take some commission, but this would give you the ability to go through and be able to get to Amtrust. And just to kind of give you everybody kind of a view here of this, I'm going to open up the open brokerage markets for just a moment. Again, these are open brokerage markets that are kind of open appointment. You don't need any minimums to go with. So we have 5-star, we have access partners, and you can access this by appulate.com/open brokerage. So open brokerage here. There's just this website here. And this will allow you to kind of look through this. Now, this is just a small snippet of the companies that, obviously we work with, but we highlight these because they are direct partners with us. And we want to make sure that, we show what they have available in the system. So RIC, Orchid Underwriters. And the other thing I'm going to cover really quick too is I do want to show the matrix here. So this is our matrix. Now you can't print this because it's too big. And this is on appulate.com/content/submission matrix. This is public viewable, so anybody can just type this in and view it. And this will give you a better breakdown of the kind of the top companies we've been working with, as well as markets that have, the web links or the Appulate or email or e-submission. Email is not shown on here because pretty much every market can be email set up. We'd have to do a kind of a deeper dive for your agency. But right now we're connected to around 3,800 MGA carriers. So, this is a very small amount in comparison to that number. There is another question here. I just can't, unfortunately. Let's see here. Bear with me just a moment, everyone. I can't get it to. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Ryan did ask a question as well. Can you explain the different types of submissions, e-submission versus Appulate? Yeah, so the e-submission, so Appulate style submissions are shown with this clover leaf here. let's see here, shown with the clover leaf here, and this is going to be your the submissions that are generated directly in the system. So then that's identified by this Appulate style. There's two variants of this. There's one with the lightning bolt and one without, as you can tell here. The lightning bolt one here means it's automatic quote generation supported. So we're able to get an automatic quote. So this is a testing account, so it's not going to send it. But so long as you have a green A here, which I've already got designed, I can hit submit, and it'll show you how quickly you're able to get a quote out of this. Now mine's going to come back pending, just again because it's a test account. But if this was, let's say, Amtrust or RIC or any of our other carriers in here, you would be able to get, instead of it being an indication, you'd get an instant bindable quote. So you'd be able to look at this quote. So we can open this one, look at it. Obviously this says not approved because it's a test account, but this would be a bindable quote you would have just gotten back. At that point, you could simply just hit submit. Versus the e-submission style is a little different. It's not done directly in the system. We click submit here, and this is going to bring us to their website, but it does pass the data directly to them through their individual websites. So we're going right to Arrowhead Exchange in this case, and it's going to bring that data in for us. So that's the primary two differences, is they're both partnered with us, but this one just does everything in our platform, and this one does it on their portal. So let's see here. We've got a bunch of questions now. Can we upload accords if we already have them? Looks like this is by Eater. So yes, so that's primarily when you first start the system. You double click your accord and you uplink it into the system. And again, I apologize. This demo is more designed around the differences between standard and premium. And this is basically kind of a standard. Everybody has access to the uplink. So if you have your accord, you uplink it in, and then you hit print and you bring it in. And this is where the OCR would come in. So if this was, let's say, handwritten, or maybe you used some software that it doesn't like it, or maybe it's an image, the OCR, if I was to bring that into the system and it couldn't read it, that's when the OCR would kick in on the premium, allowing you to read this data to bring it in. So that's a great question. Let's see here. Do we have training for the standard Appulate? Stefan Shook? Yes. So that, Stefan, what I would do if you're looking for training, I would email here, support@Appulate, and just email saying, hey, I'm looking for some training, and we can provide you the links. Typically, the best way to do this, if you're looking for training, is just to go to appulate.com/webinars. And inside here on the webinars, we've got different trainings. So this shows my my webinar here today. So ProducerConnect training, it looks like Tuesday the 19th is the next training. And some of our carriers and MGAs do offer private individualized training as well. But this is a great place to kind of just stay on top of it. Typically on a weekly basis, we have them on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or excuse me, just Tuesdays right now we have the trainings for. If you're looking for something a little different, you can reach out to me or support, and we can look at maybe doing a private training if that's something you wanted to do as well. So let's see, I have another question. Is the recording to this webinar available to review later? Yes, I'm going to send out a link to this for everybody to view as well later. So don't worry about that. Let's see here, the same question. Regarding web link, how would we get access if we're not appointed? Or if we do not have direct, yeah, okay. And that's all the questions I've got on the system for right now. Does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask? David Wetzberger, I believe. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. I'm going to unmute you, and if you have a microphone, you can speak.
This is David. Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
Hey, great. I'm sorry, I couldn't find any place where I could post a question.
Oh, no, you're good.
All right. So we have current MGA relationships. Do you then replace them?
No, we're really bridging between you and those current carriers and MGAs. We're offering you a platform to help speed up your times of your submissions. So if
Cool.
you're using primarily just email submissions, it may not, the platform may not be the best benefit for you. But if you have a lot of ones where they fall into our web link category, or these other categories that we have, our e-submission or Appulate style submission, or you want to have access to loss runner, or maybe you struggle with some of your biggest headaches are having to deal with filling out supplementals. That's where the power of our platform really kicks in. But yeah, we don't work with any of your relationships other than you have to already be appointed with them in order to have access, except for like I was showing you earlier.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, the open brokerage market is kind of the
So,
exception to the rule, but for the most part, you'll need to have those relationships already established.
so my question is, with the in our environment, our biggest issue is supplements, and we submit everything in email to our MGAs, and we sometimes use Accords for property, but we have supplements and PDFs, but of course we need loss runs, and I tuned in late. I don't know if you covered loss runs, but the issue is that we have to fill out multiple supplements. You send one supplement in, then you bind with somebody else, you got to do it all over again.
Yep. So yeah, and that is a really great question. So when we add the markets on at the beginning is when so like State Fund of California, I'll remove this real quick here, and you'll notice it'll remove these forms out of here. So when you add the markets is when the system identifies whether or not we have that supplemental in the system. Now, we do have a lot of supplementals in here, but we don't have every supplemental from everyone. So right now we've got around almost 2,000 supplementals in the system. And these aren't just as simple as, oh, we're going to put the PDF up onto our system. We painstakingly go through and map out each question on that supplemental and link it to other questions in the system. So all those data points take a lot of time, but it makes it very efficient for you, the agency, because when you're filling out this particular questionnaire or supplemental, all those questions will auto-populate everything else in the system that has a relevant question to that. So give you an example, like if it says, how many years have you been in business versus
Right.
years in business versus age of business? Well, we know that all those questions are the same, they're just worded a little differently. So our engineers have gone through and figured out, okay, that's the same question, and they've linked those together on all those supplementals.
That's cool. Now, if you fill out the application, and again, ours are mostly not Accords, will the application populate the supplemental also?
Yeah, so there's many different ways to bring the data in. So we usually just say the Accords, just because it's kind of the easiest way to bring the data in. But you can certainly go in and create a new one right in the system. I could do Golden Apple Nursery here, and I could fill it all out myself just directly in the system. But I'm not bringing in any of that extra data. I have to manually still enter it. So that's kind of why we primarily say this is the fastest way, but you could easily just fill in this information and just use it that way in the system as well. Does that answer your question?
Not really. So my question is that when I have an application for a specific market,
Uh-huh.
that application will apply. I may have 100 more that are very similar to that. So I have two questions. One is, if I do it once, can I then use it for other insureds, and then will it also populate the supplemental to go with that application?
Oh, so what you're saying is if you just use like a standardized form and brought that in, is that what you're meaning? Or are you meaning a
Well, do you have a submission form?
mhm.
For instance, let's say, do you have a submission forms for James River Corp insurance for
uh,
GLPL?
let's see if I have them. I don't think that GLPL sounds familiar, but you said it was what?
James River.
So I've got James River, and we've got them via email right now.
What does that mean?
So this would be an email style submission. Do you normally use email for, how do you reach How do you submit to them normally?
Normally I submit actually through Amwins.
Okay, so you go through Amwins to reach James River. So, and I don't think Amwins is, so let's do this actually, Dave. Let's after this call, let me give you a call and we'll go over this kind of
That'd be great.
one-on-one.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And then what about
Let's,
loss runs? How do you automate the loss run process?
yeah, so
Or do you want
yeah,
to
it
talk
sounds like
about that offline
you came on
too?
just a little late. That's no problem. I can go back over that real quick. So loss runs. So we have our loss run tab. So Agora West is what the carrier that we brought in, and with this little feature called Send Loss Runner. So I open this up, and it searches our database for the best loss run contact information. So it generated a fax number that we have in our database as well as an address, and then it basically creates a an email template here, or excuse me, email or fax template. And then it basically there's 4 different letters to choose from. And then with this, you're able to email this out or fax this out to the to Agora West with the insured signature on the bottom of it. And let me preview it up here.
How do you get the insured signature? Through
Yeah, I'll show
DocuSign
you
or
in just
something?
a second here. So basically, I enter that in here, and then so at this point, I've entered the insured's email address in here. So when I hit send on this, what it does is it sends them a copy of basically this form with the signature spot on the bottom, kind of like a DocuSign, right? But instead
Okay.
of it being where they need to email, or they need to log in or create an account or anything, they don't need to create any of that. They just simply type their name, they hit save, and then the system will save a copy of that right down here, and then automatically it'll fax it out or email it out depending on what the best route it chose for you. It'll send it out automatically for you, so you're not having to waste the time to look this information up, and you're not also having to waste the time of sending it out and waiting for them to send it back to you, just to have to send it back out to the carrier or MGA.
And which level of pricing level does this come with?
This is all the features that I'm covering are the premium. So let me get my main
Premium.
slide back up here.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a standard version of Appulate and there's a premium version of Appulate. And I can talk to you pricing when I reach out to you as well. Where did I put my form? It's fine, I'll just reopen it. Okay. So yeah, these are the main features that come with the premium. You get the loss runner, access to the email, access to web link, OCR, disable the ads, the insured portal, and the accords and supplementals.
Okay.
Yep. And like I said, I can go a little deeper into this for you, kind of a one-on-one. That way I'm not taking up everybody's time. Yeah, no problem. Does anybody else have any questions? Feel free to put your hand up if you do. All right, well, if nobody has any additional questions, Dave, if you want to email me your information, I'm going to put my information back up on the screen here. Let me close this. Dave, if you want to just email me here your best contact information, I'll give you a call in just a few minutes. That's right there. And if there's no additional questions from anybody, we're going to go ahead and end this for the day. I do want to thank everybody for coming today. I am going to send out a copy of this webinar for everybody to view. That way, if you missed anything, and if you are interested in pricing, feel free to reach out to me or respond to the email I'm going to send you here within a couple hours for pricing questions. Other than that, I really appreciate everybody's time and thank you again for coming today.